there! Are you looking for a place to drop all that pop culture junk in your brain? Well, I think you came to the right place. Welcome to Pop Culture Buffs. I'm your host, the Wolfman, and we're gonna enter a nerd cave like no other. Unfiltered opinions, I'm not afraid to say them, and it's all about the pop culture you know and love, and also love to hate. Let's get poppin', pop-ups!
Ronnie!
Hey, Ron. It's been a while since
Man, it is good to be back. I'm just, I got to tell you, I've missed you, man.
I missed you too,
I missed you, Wolf, man.
Oh,
but,
I missed you too.
Thanks for inviting me, man. This is great. I'm just good to sit down and chat with you again.
Yeah, no, it's been a hot minute. We've been doing our separate stuff for probably about a month or so now. Mm-hmm. Maybe longer than that.
I think it's been longer, yeah.
Yeah. I got a new place, and Ron's been getting more gigs and stuff, but I hit Ron up about a week ago and see if he was up for another podcast, and he said he was free today, so
yep.
I got him for the time being.
Well, yeah, at least for a little while. How long is this episode going to be?
Probably about 30 minutes.
So it's going to take us an hour. All right.
Yeah, maybe not that long. Anyway, I brought Ron on today. We're going to talk about a couple things. First, we're going to jump into announcements for what's coming up this week. If you guys aren't aware, if you are like me, basically, and you don't watch sports, the Super Bowl is this Saturday.
Yeah, you just mentioned that to me a moment ago, and I was like, oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like COVID has just kind of we've just gotten out of the mood of keeping up with sports. I have just not even cared to really look into that. I'm not a big sports guy myself, but I sometimes will watch, Super Bowl with some friends. I mostly just do it because I'm hanging out with people.
Yeah.
Not necessarily, we're watching the Super Bowl and I'm really excited about watching sports.
Yeah. Well, I am. If it's University of Tennessee football or the Carolina Panthers, then that's different. But they're not involved in the Super Bowl. So.
Yeah, we got the Chiefs and the Buccaneers this year. So Kansas City and Tampa Bay, which I'm not from Kansas and I'm not from Tampa Bay, so
no.
I'm not really
enthusiastic. Nope, those aren't places we want to be from either.
Yeah, no. And I don't know. I guess I'm more into college football. If I had to be into football, that's probably the football I'd rather watch.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and I watch. My granddad's a huge Clemson fan, as the rest of the upstate of South Carolina is.
Yep.
So that's usually who we end up pulling for if anyone's playing. I'm pretty sure they got beat by Ohio this year. So I think that's who beat them. I could be totally wrong though. So I might get bombarded in the comments with,
maybe
that's not who won. I'm like, actually, probably the people who listen to this podcast are not going to be saying so about sports. They're here for film. Yeah.
That's profiling, man.
Yeah, well.
He didn't mean it, folks.
Well,
he didn't mean it.
Well, maybe I did. Also, if you're a fan of video games and you like horror video games in particular, you might be pleasantly surprised about the new Resident Evil that's coming out in, I think, May this year. So that'll be exciting. It was originally going to come out earlier, but due to COVID, there's been delays and stuff like that. I know they announced it last year, but they've finally been releasing trailers for it. There's been a couple demos that people have been playing online, but it looks fun. It looks really good. And if you played Resident Evil 7, this is a continuation of that Resident Evil and not the original Resident Evil series. If you guys don't know about Resident Evil, it's basically your classic zombie horror video game, I would say.
Getting out of impossible situations, surrounded by zombies, and then you have to store up stuff for things that happen when you're not fighting.
Yeah, that's another thing too. Lots of puzzles, and there's a lot of building. So you actually have to build a lot of your devices to survive.
Yep.
So in Resident Evil 7, you actually have to build a flamethrower, which is really cool. Yeah. So that's a cool part of it. And also there's a lot of scarcity in ammo and health supplies, so it's very easy to die, and you also don't have a lot to fight with. So you have to really use your bullets and your resources wisely when you play the game.
Mm-hmm.
It's a true survivor horror game. And Resident Evil 7 really went back to the basics. Resident Evil 5 and 6 kind of went towards more of a first-person shooter game rather than a actual horror game.
Yeah.
So, and that was a big complaint about those games. I think Resident Evil 2 and Resident Evil 4 were probably my favorite Resident Evil games until really 7. I really like Resident Evil 7. I like that one actually better than some of the other games. The reason why is because it plays heavily on the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally a rehashing of it.
Wow.
You're captured by this family called the Bakers,
Uh-oh.
and each one of them has special attributes that they've been infected with. And they're not necessarily zombies, but they're like these demonic possessed beings. And it's all because they brought in this experimental girl that was from this organization, government organization, and they didn't know that she was going to like possess them and make them crazy.
Oh, well, naturally, if they had known, they may not have.
They may have not done what they did. Yes. Well, that's very true.
And I have to admit, if I ever played Resident Evil, it's been a long time ago, and so I know a little bit about the Resident Evil franchise. I don't know it firsthand.
Yeah.
So what I know is I've read. Now I do know a little more about the company that really Capcom. They've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
Heavyweights in the video game industry.
Mm-hmm.
So I'll jump in here and there, but when it comes to gameplay, for those of you that are listening, I'm not going to be much help with that.
Yeah. So this is really cool because at the end of 7, you use a gun. If you don't kill the main villain at the end time with your normal equipment, you're given a gun from Chris Redfield from the old games.
Yeah.
He was one of the old characters. And he basically, in this game, the new game, Ethan Winters comes back as the main protagonist, and he has to go to this village and help out the Umbrella Corporation, I think, in this one, from what I've heard. And there's like vampires and werewolves in this one. So there's not zombies necessarily, but there's like these vampires. And that's where the whole vampire lady meme has been a big thing lately.
Yeah.
I can't even say her name.
Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu.
It's that name.
Dimitrescu.
We'll just call
sounds
her
Japanese.
It's Romanian, dude.
I know, but
she has
Capcom's a Japanese company.
This is actually an interesting
So
character.
like
And I'm newly acquainted with this character, but she has a name that we can't pronounce. But she has 3 daughters, which are symbolic of the 3 brides that Dracula had.
Yeah.
So this character is very much akin to and is symbolic of Dracula.
Like the old lore of that, which is really cool. And I feel like her name is just Dominatrix, Mistress, and some Japanese name smashed together. Most likely, that's what they did. Japanese people are weird.
What? All right, like we said
Capcom.
before, equal opportunity offender.
Yeah, wow.
Well, not Dimitrescu, or whatever, how you pronounce it, is her last name, Alcina, or Alcina.
Alcina.
Yeah, that's her first name.
An Italian dessert.
And she's the... Wow. All right. Anyway, so
continue.
Equal opportunity offender. We offend everybody. The mistress of the castle, and she overlooks the village. Yeah. 9 foot tall, allegedly.
9 feet tall.
Yeah.
I've literally had friends of mine tell me that they want her to crush their head with her thighs.
There are...
Yeah. That's the thing.
Oh my God. I don't even know what to say. I
don't know. Like, it's like the whole internet right now is just like, in love with this 9 foot tall vampire lady.
Was reading that. I don't.
It's the strangest thing.
She will kill you. I don't understand. This is not a woman you want to be acquainted with.
Well, you also find out there's like a winery business going on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's
not wine.
It's called Virgin Blood.
It's all red
in Italian.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh, that's great. So, yeah, and there's like a bunch of skeletons in the basement. You know what's happening.
And Ethan's wife, Mia, that's another character. of the characters.
Yeah, Mia's somewhere, because Mia is actually part of Umbrella Corp. I'm pretty sure she's part of the government.
Well, the description
agent.
said they were under the protection of BSAA. I don't know who that is because I'm not that familiar with the game franchise.
That's another organization.
Okay.
But yeah, they're all the government organizations are corrupt. That's about all you need to know about these games.
Yeah, that is art imitating reality.
Yeah, that's just a common theme.
I guess it'd be art imitating life.
Yeah, but no, it's been a weird trip. It's also like when you remember when they made Bowser a girl, Bowsette. You remember that?
No.
Yeah, that was a whole phenomenon. Yeah. Look at this.
Oh, you're gonna look it up, aren't you?
Yeah, look at this. This is the weirdest thing I think I've ever seen. Bowsette. There you go.
Interesting.
You remember this?
No. Oh my god.
This is a giant thing on the internet.
Oh, that's just
people making this.
What is wrong with people?
Yeah. It was also when
that's great, folks. To each his own.
Yeah, and then they also have the North Korean chick who became Korean woman. Yeah. Here we go. Fan art. Yeah. They made a whole fan art of her.
Wow.
And stuff. It's so weird.
Wow. Some people have way too much time on their hands.
Yeah.
But apparently they're kind of skilled because some of that art's pretty cool looking.
Yeah.
Wow. I just don't know what to say.
It's very strange. I'm always interested in what's the next thing that people are gonna fan over on the internet. It's usually a chick.
It could be Pop Buff.
I don't want a female version of myself running around. Thank you very much.
It's the wolf woman.
Maybe a she-wolf.
Ooh.
What's poppin', Pop Buffs?
Oh no.
Welcome to the channel.
I can't do it.
I'm gonna have boobs drawn on me and have a nice ass.
Oh my god.
What can I ask for?
What
more can I ask for?
Hey, well, you know what they say. I don't know what they say. I have nothing.
You don't know what to say to that, do you? Yeah, I wouldn't know what to say either.
All right, Resident Evil Village. Let's get back to that. Oh my gosh, please.
Well, there's not much else we know about it thus far, but the game is coming out in May, so I can't wait till the rest of it comes out for sure. But the demo was really cool, and the graphics look amazing. It's going to be on the PS5, so that's exciting. More games are going to be coming out for the PS5 soon, so hopefully we'll get to see more of that. Cyberpunk 2027 was just kind of a disappointment. I'm not gonna lie. Like, there's just been so many glitches with it. It's just like any other game when it first comes out that's too ambitious for its own good. Bethesda, I'm looking at you when you made Fallout 76. Awful garbage. Good gracious. Todd Howard, what were you thinking? My goodness. He made Skyrim and it was amazing, and then he made that and it's like, why would you make this? But yeah, no, hopefully some new video games will be coming out just like this new Resident Evil game that'll be really, really awesome. But now, moving away from Resident Evil, I wanted to talk about a new idea I've had on the channel for a while, talking about certain actors and certain movies that people don't really know a lot about. I usually spend a lot of time talking on this channel about movies that people know already. I've done Star Wars, I've done James Bond.
I remember that one.
Talked about Scooby-Doo and all sorts of different things. I did stuff on the Witcher series recently. That was a little bit more obscure.
And for those of you that don't know, the Scooby-Doo episode was part of our Halloween episode.
Yeah.
That we did.
Yeah. No, we did a different Halloween episode.
Well, we did, but that was part of it, wasn't it?
That was part of it, yeah.
Yeah, it was like we'll call it a mini.
It was like part of the Halloween season. Those are the two that I did during Halloween. And also the Among Us podcast was also during October. Yeah, and that was good. But yeah, a lot of different stuff, a lot of horror stuff for some reason. I don't know why. Horror games are good. They often have really good writing. So, but yeah, I wanted to talk about movies that people didn't really know a lot about, and maybe compare stuff that, you know, a certain actor has done, you know, in other films that are not well known. So I thought, who better to talk about, you know, someone really famous, Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks,
Yeah.
the man, the myth, the nice guy.
The nice guy.
He does
I
have a
just
reputation.
love my movies. They're so good.
Oh no! Of course, you pull out Forrest Gump. You know the story behind that? How he came up with that voice?
Yeah, he talked with the kid.
Yeah,
didn't he?
The kid had
At
a
the beginning.
speech. Had a speech thing.
Yeah, a speech thing,
And
and
so-
he wanted to incorporate that in
Yeah. He
the adult
decided it
version.
would be easier for him to imitate the way he spoke than to have to, you know, for
Yeah,
the kid to try to.
No, he spent hours with the kid and like recorded sessions with him and would like listen to them to get all the inflectuations with the southern accent that
That
he
was a
had.
pretty cool story. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, I actually know a friend of mine. His father was in Forrest Gump. He played a stunt double for Tom Hanks.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you know the scene where he's carrying Bubba
Yeah.
away in Vietnam?
Uh-huh.
That's him. The scene where they're running
Yeah.
and stuff in the fire.
Yeah.
Tom Hanks couldn't lift up the actor who played Bubba, but he could. So he's actually the one running there, and not Tom Hanks.
Did you? Well, I'm sure you did. You know that's filmed in South Carolina, right?
Part of it, yeah.
It's
The main house.
Hunting Island and Fripp Island. That's where they did the Vietnam scenes.
I know they filmed some of it in Hawaii too.
Well, I can tell you that Fripp Island is where they filmed some of the Hawaiian scenes. There's a lagoon that's right there on Hunting Island, near the lighthouse, and that's where they filmed the scene where he says goodbye to Bubba for the last time there.
Yeah. Well, they replicate the bayou and everything too. And since that area has like a lot of marsh, it like is perfect.
If you ever get a chance to go to Hunting Island, you'll see what I mean. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a state park. So
I've been to Hunting Island before, but yeah, I'll have to like go out there and check. I always like to go to like homage spots where they filmed movies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because when I traveled out to Hawaii, I went to the waterfall where they filmed Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
When the helicopter comes in at the beginning of the
That would
movie,
be
I got
cool,
to
yeah.
see that, and then I also went and saw the scene where Indiana Jones is running across in Raiders Lost Ark. He's running away from the natives.
That's cool.
Yeah, I saw the field
wow.
that they filmed that in, which was cool, and the river that was like right next to it,
That is cool.
where the plane was.
So,
Was really
what
neat.
movies are we discussing of Tom Hanks today?
Yes. So many people know Tom Hanks is in Forrest Gump, as we mentioned. Philadelphia, his other Oscar winner,
Right.
Saving Private Ryan, Apollo 13, multiple movies, Green Mile, awesome movies. But we're going to talk about some more obscure movies that people probably haven't heard of before.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off with one that people maybe know a little bit more than some of the other titles I'm going to mention. But it's called A League of Their Own.
Oh,
And
yes.
this is a really good movie, and Ron knows this movie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, but it's a cool movie about he is training the first female professional baseball league, and this is taking place during World War II, I think. Or yeah,
Yes, World War II,
Because
because all the men were
are off fighting,
Yeah.
so there's no entertainment, no baseball games that are being played while everyone's away. So they came up with women's leagues to play after people left. And then they also talk about when all the men get back to keep it going because they have a fan base. And it's a really good movie. Tom Hanks plays this really kind of more rougher antagonist kind of character, which is really different because a lot of roles he plays is kind of the nice guy,
Yeah.
you know, the good guy. You know, he doesn't really play a lot of antagonistic roles.
I don't know if I'd call him the antagonist. I
He's
mean,
not an antagonist,
yeah.
but he's more aggressive than he normally
Well,
is.
he is.
in his
Yeah,
other
and
roles.
he's kind of a washed-up character, you know.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's got a physical, not disability, but he's been injured, so he wasn't able to go to war, and so
He's an alcoholic.
yeah, he's an alcoholic. He's got his own issues.
Yeah, which is really different than a lot of other roles he plays. In fact,
True.
a lot of critics, when I read about this movie, said that Tom Hanks, this is really where Tom Hanks really started showing his own acting chops and really started to do stuff. And this was in the 90s, so this is where Tom Hanks really exploded as a big Hollywood actor.
You
Before,
said big. Sorry.
Huh?
You said big. One of his movies. Sorry.
Big.
But this is where one of the most iconic phrases that exists today that's still quoted today. There's no crying in baseball.
Yes, there's no crying in baseball.
Exactly. That's where that's the movie is where that phrase came from. So if you've ever heard that phrase and didn't know, that's where it came from.
Yeah. I forgot about that line. But
Madonna was the one crying, I think. Wasn't she?
I think so.
Well, maybe not. I don't know. I can't remember. But somebody was crying, and he said that line, and apparently it was just echoed through history.
Yeah. No, it's a classic. But yeah, that's a really good movie. Definitely check it out. Especially even if you're not a sports fan, like it's still a really good movie to watch. Because I mean, it's not just about baseball.
Oh yeah. It's actually less about baseball and more about the characters.
Yes, it's more about like their psyche, them wanting to, succeed.
And it's a piece of history that's often forgotten and not mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool.
Yeah. So if you're like a history person, you like kind of some comedy, feel good, and a little bit speaking out for women's rights kind of stuff, it's right up your alley. Mm-hmm. It's good. And it's got a little sport in there, so if you are a sports movie fan, you can enjoy that aspect of the film.
And there's Gina Davis in a miniskirt.
Yes. If that's what you're going for, then yes. Ron over here. Goodness me. I wasn't even born yet when this movie came out.
All right.
Yeah.
That's enough of that.
Oh, man. All right, moving on to the next movie. Joe versus the Volcano.
Oh,
now, this movie is very unknown. I think anybody I ask knows nothing about this film. Like, it's such a under-the-radar film.
Yep.
And basically the plot of this film is Tom Hanks is just kind of an office worker, and he's just kind of like this dead-end job, going nowhere. But he's a hypochondriac. He always thinks he's dying.
Yep.
And anyway, he finally goes to the doctor, and the doctor finally tells him that there's something wrong with him. And of course, he's super happy about this because he's like, I knew it. I knew there was something wrong with me. And he tells him that he has a brain cloud, is what he tells him, which is craziness, but you have to go along with it. Mm-hmm. But he tells him he has a brain cloud, and he says he's going to be in like perfect health for, I think, 3 months, and then he's just going to die. Just keel over and die. No reason. And he's like, well, I guess I just got to live the rest of my life for the next couple months and enjoy it the best I can. Well, anyway, a billionaire finds out that he has this illness.
Played by Lloyd Bridges.
Lloyd Bridges, that's right. And he tells him that he has a deal for him. That if he, for a month, I think it's a month, if he spends a month with him, he's going to give him all this money to spend on himself and buy him all this fancy clothes and cars, whatnot. And then he's going to take him on like a little boat cruise and take him to an island. Mm-hmm. And at this island, there's this large oil reserve. And the billionaire wants the oil on the island, but the natives will not give him the oil rights. While the natives are obsessed with orange soda, of all things. So they like Fanta. For some reason, that's a thing in this movie. But they like Fanta because I think it like washed up on their shore or something. I think that's what happened, and then they just like fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. I think that's the premise of that.
That's called sponsorship, folks. That's how advertising works.
Moving on. Yeah, but they won't take the orange soda. So they tell him that the only way that they will sell him oil is if they get someone to sacrifice themselves in their volcano. Mm-hmm. Hence the title, Joe versus the Volcano.
Yep.
So
Joe thinks he's dying anyway.
So he thinks he's going to die anyway. So by doing this, he's helping out the billionaire, and the billionaire's giving him a bunch of money to live on until he dies.
And he can die with dignity.
Yep. Exactly. But it's a really good movie, and it's one of the first movies that he did, I think, with Meg Ryan.
Yep.
I think it's the first movie he did with Meg Ryan.
They are rom-com duo.
Yeah, it was not Sleepless in Seattle.
Nope.
Which a lot of people think it is.
Yep. Sleepless in Seattle. Well, you got this one, Sleepless in Seattle, and then
You Got Mail.
Yeah. That was a good one too.
Yeah.
But no, this, like you said, this movie has lived in obscurity, and when people do finally watch it, It's quirky. It's got it's got, especially with Meg Ryan and her multi characters that she plays, being sisters. But
well, she's also at the beginning of the movie. She's the secretary or like the office lady that Jill. So Meg Ryan plays 3 characters in this movie. She plays a love interest at his office at the beginning of the movie, but then that doesn't work out because she finds out that he's gonna die. Then he meets the artistic sister, who's just kind of living off her billionaire father, and talks like this.
Oh yeah, that was.
Do you want to see my art?
She did it well enough that it annoyed me.
Right over there. That's my painting. My daddy put it up on the wall.
Okay, you got to stop.
That's what she sounds like.
She does. That's a pretty accurate impersonation.
And there's kind of like a little bit of a bond there, but not as much as the final girl that he finally talks to, the other sister. And they get on Tweedledee, I think. Is it Tweedledee or Tweedledum? The name of the boat.
Oh, the boat?
Yeah, it's Tweedledee or Tweedledum.
I can't remember.
I think it is.
I can't remember now.
She's promised the boat if she does the job. So that's why she's out here doing this. But she doesn't really like her father. But it's a hilarious storyline. I don't want to spoil it.
Yeah. No spoilers here, but do see that movie, Joe versus the Volcano. It was one of my favorites. I have seen it multiple times because it is one of those movies you can go back and watch it over and over again.
It's so funny. I think my favorite line is when he buys his suitcases for the trip, and they get like these incredible big sized luggages. And he buys I think 6 of them, and the guy says, "May you live 1,000 years and never go hungry again." May you live 1,000 years and never go hungry again. I love that line, and also when he's in the limo with the driver, and the driver asks him, where do you want to go? And he's like, well, I want to get some clothes. He's like, well, where do you want to go? And it's like, well, I don't know. I don't know where to get clothes. And he turns around to him and says, he stops the car and says, look, man, I happen to care about clothes and looking good. So what do you mean you don't know what kind of clothes you want to get? What kind of clothes do you got? And he says, well, what I've got on.
Yeah.
And he looks at him dead in the eye and says, so you got no clothes. You got no clothes. And so then this guy takes him out to get clothes, and Tom Hanks ends up buying him clothes for helping him. So
that's nice.
That's so funny. Oh my gosh. But anyway, I think it's one of my favorite Tom Hanks movies that he did, and it did better than some of his other movies. Surprisingly enough, it actually made more money than The Burbs.
That's not only shocking; it's a shame. And, is that a segue
into The Burbs?
Yeah.
We can talk about The Burbs. That's a weird movie.
It is weird, but man, I love it. You got such a great cast. You got Tom Hanks, and then Corey Feldman plays one of the neighbors. It just
isn't Carrie Fisher in
Carrie
that movie?
Fisher plays his wife.
Yeah.
You got Princess Leia playing Tom Hanks' wife in this movie. It is such a great movie if you like something that's got some character. It's not your normal movie. It's not even predictable, really, because it's just a fun little story, a fun little ride, and it's a glimpse into a cul-de-sac in a suburb.
Yeah, it's so weird. It makes me think of like a 1930s horror movie a little bit. How it's filmed, like it's a comedy, but then it's also people are getting murdered.
Well, it kind of gives a glimpse into how crazy people can be toward their neighbors, suspicion and that kind of thing. And I'm not going to give anything away, but it is worth watching for, if no other reason, just because you want to see Tom Hanks doing something that you've probably not seen him do before. And it's just it's an excellent film. I think the characters are great. It's just fun. Now, again, no Oscars coming out of this film.
No. Tom Hanks kind of overacts here, I feel like.
Well, yeah, but that's the fun.
But that's the point.
Yeah. He throws a cup of coffee at the paperboy.
Yes.
Yes. I laughed out loud the first time I saw it.
Yeah. I think this is kind of the last movie where he kind of did that kind of acting. The last movie he did that for was, I think, The Bachelor. I think The Bachelor Party, in 1984. That was where he really kind of did that humor last, I would say. But after that, like when he did Splash
Yeah.
and stuff like that, that's where he really started. The Man with One Red Shoe.
Oh, yeah.
That's when he started doing more movies that were, they were comedies, but he wasn't like going over the top insane
Right.
for them. And then of course, Big was big.
Yeah, Steve Martin mentioned that, and because that's Steve Martin was had his career was doing really well at that time as well, and Steve Martin he actually got upset because Big was such a smash success for Tom Hanks because he had the new guy on the block, making waves and
Yeah.
stealing
And that
some
was his
attention.
biggest movie until Sleepless in Seattle.
Yeah.
So that was Big came out in 1988, and then Sleepless in Seattle came out in 1993.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a couple of years before he finally got some more higher grossing films. And then, of course, he did Philadelphia and Forrest Gump, which was just like a...
Yeah.
That just cemented him as a huge actor. And Forrest Gump is, I think, one of his highest grossing movies to date. I do think... Yeah, it made $330 million at the box office, which is amazing. I don't even think Saving Private Ryan made that much. No, it didn't. And I don't think anything since then has really come close.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame because like that was like peak career for him, and then he did a bunch of good movies after that, but they just didn't make as much money as that one. I mean, they still made millions of dollars, granted, but not as much as Forrest Gump. Anyway, we're kind of running out of time here, but I'll mention one last movie before we go.
Okay.
This came out in 2004, and you haven't even seen this movie, so
yeah.
you definitely got to go check it out.
I agree.
It's really, really strange. I'm gonna like if the title itself doesn't already look strange enough. The title of this one is The Lady Killers.
Yeah, I have not seen this.
And this is one of the strangest movies I've probably ever
I don't
seen.
even think I've seen a trailer for this movie.
It's so out there. I remember watching this a couple years ago, and I was just completely blown away with it. Some friends of mine saw it, and they said, you got to watch this. This is like the funniest thing you'll ever see. I'm like, all right, sure. But anyway, Tom Hanks is this Southern professor in the movie, and he's really creepy. Look, he looks like he looked like a young Colonel Sanders a little bit.
Yeah.
KFC commercial guy.
Well, I noticed, the hairstyle and
he
the
has
facial hair
weird
there.
teeth as well. And he quotes Edgar Allan Poe like the entire movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, him, J.K. Simmons, and a bunch of other... I'm trying to see... Yeah, here we go. Yeah, Tom Hanks, J.K. Simmons, Marlon Wayans. I love him. Tazi Ma, he's so funny. But anyway, there's all these people that get together, and they're going to rob one of the casino boats in Mississippi.
Oh.
That's the plot of the movie. And
Yeah.
so the gambling is illegal in the United States, but on the Mississippi River, that's technically international waters, so they can't interfere with them doing that. But the money for the casino is kept in an offshore vault, and that's what they're trying to break into. So what they do is that they go to Marva Munson, and she rents out rooms in her house. And she's this old African-American lady living in Mississippi. And so they've rented out this room, and all these people come to stay there. Tom Hanks' character, the professor, J.K. Simmons, Garth Pancake. Yes, the names are ridiculous.
Garth
Pancake. And he's a washed-up demolition expert.
Party on, Garth.
From movies.
Oh my gosh.
And then you have the general, who's this like Vietnam veteran. He's crazy, and he keeps like eating his cigarettes, or like he can flip his cigarette in and out of his mouth.
Oh, that's weird.
So weird. And then you have like the inside guy, who's played by Marlon Wayans, and his name is Gowan McSam.
Wow.
Weird names.
Okay.
And and then they have this football player guy who's with them as well. So he's like their muscle. But they hire he gets like all these obscure people to come together to rob this casino, essentially. But they have to be discreet because they don't want her finding out what they're doing.
Yeah.
Upstairs. And eventually, after trying to hide it forever and ever, and they're trying to hide it from this lady, eventually she finds out that they're trying to steal this money from the casino. She walks in on them, hauling the money out.
Yeah.
So they realize that they've got to kill her.
Yeah.
But each time they try to kill her, one of them ends up dying trying to kill her. And it's like the most outlandish way to die possible.
Wow.
And it's just an obscure, weird movie. And you'll be questioning what you've just watched to the very end of the film. It is so strange.
Well, you'll have to take Wolfman's word for it. I have no context
weird
here, and it does sound like a weird concept. I would watch it just because of that. If I had known, I guess how odd and quirky it was, I probably would have seen it a long time ago.
It's one of those movies you just don't think would exist, but it does. and the lady is obsessed with Bob Jones University.
Really?
She thinks it's like the greatest college in existence, like the one in South Carolina, Bob Jones University.
Bob Jones. Okay.
Which is so weird. She wants to donate to Bob Jones University.
Wow.
The entire movie, they talk about Bob Jones University, and at one point they try to convince her to not tell the police by giving her some of the money to donate to Bob Jones University, and she actually considers it at some point.
Yeah.
And she keeps talking to a picture frame of her husband on the wall.
Yeah.
And trying to talk with him, beyond the grave essentially. But the picture keeps moving. It's the facial expressions of her husband keep changing. It's Marvin, do you think I should take this? And he's like this. It's no. Well, he said, I don't know. My husband wouldn't like that very much. And when something shocking happens, he's like the picture just looks like he's shocked. It's so funny. But the facial expressions just change throughout the whole movie. It's
I'm
one of
gonna
those.
have to watch that.
Yeah, it's so weird. It feels like a really weird Adam Sandler movie that actually works. I don't know. Oh, man. But it's a classic. Definitely check it out if you haven't. Well, I think that is all we have time for today, Pop Buffs. We went over some classics that you didn't know were classics of Tom Hanks.
Yep.
So if you're a Tom Hanks fan, definitely check out these movies. Lady Killers, League of Their Own, and Joe vs. the Volcano. I highly recommend Joe vs. the Volcano.
Absolutely.
Really good movie.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up indeed. Can't speak. Oh, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show, Ron.
Oh, yeah. I
really
bet.
appreciate it.
Anytime. Just yell. If I don't have something else going on, man, I'd love to sit in with you.
Ron! Are you free?
Yes, I am.
Oh, wow.
Be right there.
Oh.
That's kind of how the whole conversation went, guys.
Pretty much. And I'm let me think of something we can do. Google's what's going on in the world. Oh, yes, let's do this. Well, anyway, Pop Buffs, thank you for listening to the podcast this week. Make sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the new YouTube videos that I'm now putting out. So definitely check that out. Pop Culture Buffs. If you look us up on YouTube, type that in. I also have an Instagram page and a Twitter. So make sure to give us a follow and tweet if you liked what we did today. And if you guys want to do anything else, you want to see more of this, definitely leave a comment down below. Let me know what you guys are thinking. But anyway, thanks again for coming on, Ron.
No problem.
And you want to finish off with I'm Forrest Gump from Tom Hanks. You wanna imitate that?
My name's Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. When I thought of a boat name, I wanted to name it the most beautiful name in the whole wide world. Johnny. I love you, Johnny. I love you so much.
Wow. All right, and for all of you out there who are now imitating Forrest Gump because you just heard it, congratulations. You've joined the insane party here.
Mob. I thought you were going to tell them to stop.
Okay, well, yeah, stop it. This has been going on long enough, guys. Okay, fine. I'll say what I'm really thinking. It's gone on long enough. Enough imitating Forrest Gump. You're just making fun of the poor guy. I'm kidding.
No, it's a great role. I gotta go buy Bubblegum Shrimp Co. at some point and get some food there.
I honestly thought you said bubblegum shrimp.
Bubblegum, yeah, man. Bubblegum shrimp. They coat it in bubblegum now.
That's disgusting.
you chew and eat the shrimp, and then you peel off the gum with your teeth.
As long as it's been deveined, I'm good.
All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, Pop Buffs, and I'll see you next week. Stay poppin', Pop Buffs.